Welcome, guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah, and today we're going to be reacting to Mr. Nightmare. This one's called Four Disturbing Deja Vu. Real Cases of Deja Vu. I almost got it. I had to look at the screen. But wow. It's been a while. It's been a while since I done a reaction video. I have been so drained. I've been so puffed out. You know me, I'm not really a great editor. I'm trying to learn how to edit videos on and off. I feel like I'm going to do two videos in 2 days only because I haven't done many videos. I'm trying to get videos in. So, yeah, hopefully I'll be doing a couple videos today. Got some other stuff I had to do. So, yeah. This is so focusing on this video. I haven't done Bold and the Beautiful in a long time. I don't know if any of you requested me to do that video, but I promised I would do the worst characters video. Each character going from bad. I mean, they're all bad, but anyway, yeah, I will be doing that video. I think either this week, next week, or the week after. I don't know. Whenever I can fit it in. Could even be a month from here. Who knows? But yeah, I did promise I would do that, and I will do it. But yeah, I'm almost there. Anyway, I'm almost there. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, please subscribe, turn notification, and click the bell beside you. Anyway, let's jump right onto it, shall we? Yeah, here we go. Here we go. I don't think the lighting looks any good. Alexa, turn smart light to 10%. Oh, wait. Okay. Alexa, turn smart light to 25%. Okay. Looks a bit better. Yeah. My video looks always grainy. It looks awful. I got these milky chocolate. Been eating a lot of chocolate, not healthy. I'm also dieting, but I'm also eating junk food. I don't know how to get off it, but yep. I did say I had an addiction to chocolate, so yeah. Anyway, let's jump right onto this video, shall we?
Deja vu is that weird feeling that you've lived through a moment before. We've all experienced it. Most people brush it off as a brain glitch or a coincidence, but sometimes it feels wrong, like reality is repeating itself in ways it shouldn't. These are four allegedly true stories of deja vu that didn't fade away, but rather they spiraled into something terrifying.
This is a different video for Mr. Nightmare. I'm just saying. I've never seen anything like it. I'll go.
Before. We've all experienced it. Most people brush it off as a brain glitch or a coincidence, but sometimes it feels wrong, like reality is repeating itself in ways it shouldn't. These are four allegedly true stories of deja vu.
Allegedly.
Away,
I love how he says allegedly, but it's... Oh, he didn't say true stories. I did notice it when I watched it, but just couldn't take notes a bit.
Terrifying.
John Jar.
I don't usually talk about this with people because of how insane it sounds, but something happened to me back in 2017 that made me question not just my sanity, chipped paints and mismatched locks. I lived there with my roommate Nick, who worked security night shifts for a warehouse just outside of town. Most nights I had the place to myself. It was a Thursday night in early February when I came home a little later than usual. I remember walking up the stairs and getting hit with a smell I hadn't smelled in years. Burned rubber mixed with some kind of citrus cleaner. That smell triggered something in me. This strange and sudden memory that felt like it belonged to someone else. As I walked down the hallway, the feeling of deja vu hit me like a sledgehammer. Not just a flash of familiarity, but an overwhelming sensation that I had lived this exact moment before, in precise, granular detail. I stopped about 5 feet from my door and froze. I knew what was going to happen next. The light above me would flicker twice.
Wait a second, what happened? Sorry, I'm all over the place.
mixed with some kind of citrus cleaner. That smell triggered something in me. This strange and sudden memory that felt like it belonged to someone else. As I walked down the hallway, the feeling of deja vu hit me like a sledgehammer. Not just a flash of familiarity, but an overwhelming sensation that I had lived this exact moment before, in precise, granular detail. I stopped about 5 feet from my door and froze. I knew what was going to happen next. The light above me would flicker twice. A woman from downstairs would yell something muffled and then laugh. Then, at the far end of the hallway, something heavy would fall, a dull, metallic thud, and it happened in that exact order, exactly as I knew it would. I remember standing there, not even scared yet, just confused. I thought maybe I had dreamed it, but then it happened again the next night. This time I was watching TV, eating leftover Chinese food, and suddenly I knew the scene I was going to play before it happened. The lines of dialogue, the background noise, even the...
I've had a lot of deja vu moments. Like, I had. It wasn't so much deja vu. I didn't even know if it was a premonition, but when I was 17, I, I've been living in group homes for a long time. I've been bouncing around from group homes. So I had a carer. Her name, I probably won't say her name, only for confidential. Oh, I could say her name. Her name was Valerie. And she, she was on shift. Well, in the dream, she was on shift. And then there was another carer named Michael who was on shift. He wasn't meant to be on shift for some reason. I think there was another carer meant to be on shift. I can't remember, but he was not meant to be on shift. So I knew it was a dream because I knew it wasn't real. And she had a big fall in that. Anyway, I woke up and then I found out he was on shift that day because he was covering for some that other carer who happened to be sick that day. And Val was on shift and she was wearing the same clothes as what I was wearing, right? What she was wearing in the dream, sorry, not what I was wearing, sorry. Anyway, she fell over at 2 a.m., kind of like in the dream, 2 p.m. She fell over. And guess what? She fell over in the exact same spot. It was like there's these pebbles, rocks, like there's a pathway to go to our door, and then there's like these pebbles and that. She fell onto there in the same way as what happened in my dream. What like yeah, I've lived things like that. I don't know if it was deja vu or if it was yeah, it was something. Like a It was like my memory was telling me to warn that she's gonna fall or something. Anyway, she's really hurt and I don't know if she went I don't think she went to hospital, but she did have to go home. I think she might have got hospital to get some checkups or some scans to see if she broke her arm or something. I think she did break her arm. Or I don't think she broke it, but she apparently dislocated it though for some reason. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I've lived something through it. Yeah, but this is just I don't know what this is. This is like I think I've lived this as well. So never happened on the next night. That's never happened to me. But I have experienced deja vu not once, but and not twice, like quite a dozen times. But yeah. I think that one wasn't deja vu. I guess that one was like a dream premonition. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Timing of a phone buzz from my nightstand. Over the next 5 days, these moments became more frequent. I began writing them down, testing myself, and every time I was correct. I knew things I couldn't have known, like the exact time Nick would text me, or the moment a neighbor's dog would start barking.
This is very bizarre. This never happened.
Reminders of something I hadn't lived yet. That's when a dream started. I dreamed I was lying in bed and the door opened. Nick walked in pale and dripping sweat and said, "There's someone in the building." His voice sounded wrong, like too flat, like it was being played from a recording. I asked who, and he just stared at me. That dream played every night, but the final night, it wasn't a dream. At 3:12 a.m., my door opened, and Nick was standing there, saying the exact same words. I followed him into the hallway with a bat in hand. He pointed toward the stairwell. There was no one, but something felt off. The shadows didn't move the way they should. We called the police. Nothing. I told Nick about the dreams. He just stared at me and said, I've been having them too. Neither of us said anything else.
What the
Deja
heck?
vu that night. Ever since then, sometimes catch the
What
flicker
the
of something.
heck?
A memory, a sense, a noise. I wonder if none of us will remember something before it happens again. Because if that door opens again and I hear those words, I don't know if I'll be able to follow this time. I've started to question if what we think of as a memory is really just our brain accessing timelines stacked atop one another, like layers of old wallpaper,
Pardon me.
each layer faintly bleeding into the next. Sometimes I think the hallway itself is some kind of weak point, a scene between two versions.
Woo! That one was scary. Yikes. That one was very scary. I mean, if someone woke me up and they whispered to my ear and said, there's somebody in the house. Or like, there's somebody in the house. And then it came to life. That was just a dream. But that dream that I had 5 times in a row came to life. No, I'd be gone. I'd be gone. Ryan M.
My name is Ryan. This happened 3 years ago when I was 17. My brother Chris was 19. We live in a small town surrounded by woods. Not much happens here, so kids like us get bored pretty easily. There's a trail near our house that leads into the forest. It goes on for miles. People say there are old buildings and weird stuff hidden deep in the trees, and we always talked about going to explore it, but never did, until one weekend in October. He had nothing to do, and Chris said we should finally check out the house he heard about from other kids at school. It was a cool, cloudy day. The leaves were all changing colors, so it was a nice scenic walk. I had walked this specific trail before. Like I remembered this specific walk and conversation with my brother. Even when we found a broken fence post on the trail, I felt like I remembered that exact moment. But I had never been down this trail before, I was sure of it. Chris was ahead of me, talking about something random, but I didn't really hear him at this point. I kept looking around, and everything felt too familiar. I knew there would be a thick tree with a big hole in it near the side of the trail, and 5 minutes later, we passed it. I didn't say anything out loud. Like, I've experienced deja vu before. This time,
I think there's another time. I don't know if this is deja vu. I don't know what this is, but another time I've experienced was I'll get back to the video, but another time I've experienced was I grew up all of a sudden. I don't know what this was, but somehow I grew up to be about 18, 19 years old. And then all of a sudden I'm just been born again. I've had dreams like that before. Or had like moments where I'm like, what the heck? And then I go back to being born or back to being like 8 years old, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I never grew up. I'm still the same age. And this, whatever it was, vision or something, made me grow up and then made me stop at a certain age. Obviously, I've surpassed 19. But I've had that before in the past. That's very. I don't even know how to explain that. I don't think it's again. I don't think it's deja vu, but it's like something weird happened. Anyway,
it just felt weirdly more intense. The deeper we went, the more memories came back. I started to remember a house, a two-story house with green paint peeling off and a broken front step. I saw it clearly in my head. I I remembered a broken window on the top floor and dead vines going up the side, but I had never seen this house before in real life. I didn't say anything to my brother yet, though. We finally reached the house between 3:30 and 4 p.m., and when I saw it, I felt like my stomach dropped. It was the same exact house I was picturing in my head, down to just about every last detail. I just stared at it while Chris kept walking toward the porch. I wanted to turn around and leave. That moment, I actually started questioning if I had seen this house before, even though I was almost positive I hadn't. I asked Chris if it felt familiar to him, and he acted confused and said no. Then he asked what I meant. I told him straight up I felt a weird sense of deja vu of this exact moment. I didn't want to chicken out though, so we kept going. The front door was cracked open, indicating we weren't the first to have the genius idea of exploring this place. Chris pushed it open slowly, and it made a long squeaking sound as it opened. Inside, it smelled like what you'd expect a long abandoned house to smell like. The silence in there was almost deafening, like it felt heavy
I
on my
hate
ears.
deafening sounds.
We stepped inside.
I like silence, but when it comes to deafening, when it's that silence, like, it's just too silent, I hate it. I hate that type of silence. But I don't mind silence, like this silence. It's pretty silent. But, like, silent where it feels like, I don't know, like you're not alone. Like, you feel like someone's in the same room with you. Sometimes I do get paranoid for certain things, though. Just saying.
Furniture, old wallpaper peeling off, and a staircase going up on the left side of the room. We looked around the first floor for a while.
Nah.
Chris made a comment that the place is kind of creepy, and I couldn't agree more. Then I said something without thinking. I said, I remember being here before. Chris stopped walking and just turned to me and said, what do you mean? I didn't even mean to say it. The words just came out on their own. I repeated myself. I said, I remember this place, the kitchen, that hallway, even the fireplace, and I remember a woman upstairs. Chris's response was one you would expect, an automatic assumption that I was trying to add to the creepy atmosphere and freak him out. I told him straight up, I'm not trying to scare you. I just have a weird memory of being here and
That's
someone
creepy.
being upstairs. I could tell it did creep him out a bit, but I mean, in a setting like this, it isn't hard to freak people out. We stood there for a second, then we heard a noise. A soft creak, like a floorboard being stepped on. It came from upstairs. Chris looked at me, and I looked at him. We didn't say anything for a few seconds. He dared me to go upstairs and check it out. I said absolutely not, and advised we get out of there. He somehow convinced me to play rock, paper, scissors to see who would go up there and check out the upstairs. I lost, but I still refused to go up there. Chris still would rather go up there than to leave the house right then. As he walked up the stairs, each step creaked. I followed behind, but I stayed at the top of the stairs while he walked toward the room where the noise had seemingly come from. It was the last room on the right. The door was slightly open. He reached out and pushed it open more. I couldn't see what was inside from where I was standing, but Chris saw something in there. He froze, and then out of nowhere, he screamed and almost shoved me down the stairs. He yelled, run, and we flew down the stairs and out the front door.
That was a
Stepped
creepy
running,
patter,
not even when we
Mr.
reached the trail
Nightmare.
again. We kept going until we were completely out of breath. When we finally stopped, we bent over, trying to breathe. My heart was beating so bad I could barely hear. What did you see? I asked. Chris looked at me and said, there was a woman in there staring out the window like a statue. When I asked him what she looked like, he said all he really noticed was her hair, which was shoulder length and grayish blonde. He kept asking me how the hell I knew there would be a woman up there. I accused him of lying to prank me, that he probably thought I was trying to scare him, so he flipped the script on me. But he never caved. He never told me he was kidding. He insisted for days, weeks, months, even years later today, that he wasn't kidding, and he saw that woman in there. Part of me knows there's a possibility he did flip what he thought was a prank back on me, but deep down, I believe him. We both heard that sound from upstairs. It came from someone or something alive. My deja vu or premonitions or whatever you want to call it were also way too specific to be coincidental. Glad I wasn't the only one to look into that room. This experience changed my definition of the term deja vu.
That was scary. I feel like that one was scarier than the first one. I don't know. Then again, if you saw the woman, it might have been even scarier. So I'd say the first one was scarier. I'd say the first one was scarier. Mr. Madison. Hmm.
Outside Scranton, Pennsylvania, and there's this one intersection near my place that's infamous for accidents. It has 4 stop signs but no lights, and on snowy nights you have to step into a moment I had already lived. I slowed down,
That's a
even though
creepy
I had the
picture.
right of way. Then, without warning, a black pickup truck blew through the stop sign on my left. If I hadn't hit the brakes early, it would have plowed straight into my side. I pulled over, shaking, watching the taillights vanish into the snow. That would have killed me. I knew it. But what scared me more was that I knew it was coming. Not in the way you anticipate danger. I mean, I remembered it. I remembered the details, like the crunching metal and the glass and the airbag crushing my face. None of it happened, but I remembered it like a fact. I chalked it up to stress. The pandemic, the isolation, whatever. But then, a few nights later, I had another episode. I was at a red light, and I remembered the song that would come on the radio before it did. I remembered the woman walking her dog across the street, even though I couldn't see her yet. I started to feel like I wasn't living in the present anymore, just reenacting it. Then the dreams began. Same road, same crash. Each night more vivid. In one dream, I got out of the car and saw my own body slumped in the driver's seat with my eyes glassy and a long gash across my temple. I could hear myself trying to breathe. On the 5th night, I woke up in a sweat and told myself I wouldn't take that route again. I drove 10 minutes out of the way and took the highway instead. Later that day, I got a message from a friend. There had been a fatal crash at that same intersection. Same time I usually drove through it. Same make and color of my car. A different person, but the same ending. Ever since then, I wondered, was I remembering my own death in another timeline? Was some part of me rerouted at the last second? Or was I just another version that got lucky
That's
while
scary.
another me didn't? I haven't had deja vu like that since. But sometimes, when I drive at night and the road looks too familiar, I get chills. Because maybe some part of me remembers something I'm not supposed to. I later looked into near-death experiences and found people reporting the same kind of thing. Memories of things that hadn't happened yet. Only they always involved a close brush with death. Maybe deja vu is just a side effect of slipping through the cracks. Maybe time isn't a line at all, but a constantly reloading loop. And occasionally something inside us remembers what happened before the reset. If that's true,
I like
then
that
every time we
it
avoid
was like
disaster,
a
it might not be
a
because of luck.
different type of
It might
death.
be because we've already lived through it. And some part of us is trying desperately to keep it from happening again.
Yeah. Maybe subconsciously your body lives through things that you'll never experience. And then sometimes you remember those experiences, but they never really truly happened. But then one day, I guess what you've just demonstrated, it was a car crash and you were meant to die in it, but your dream subconsciously reminded you, like, this is a life lesson. This is something that could happen, and you need to be more aware of that. Take precautions. I never thought about that, you know? Hmm. I just realized I forgot to do my. I'll give it out of 10. I forgot to do that. Like, the first one was about a 7.5, 8 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Second one was about probably like 6.5 out of 10. 7. Um, this one was like an 8 out of 10. Because that's kind of scary. If I saw myself looking back at myself for some reason, I'd be scared. Just saying. Melissa!
Before I worked in IT, I spent 2 years doing overnight shifts at a long-term care home in upstate New York. It was an old facility, a little rundown but decent enough. We had a few residents with Alzheimer's or advanced dementia, but most were stable. Over the first few months, I developed a routine. Midnight rounds, patient checks every hour. Most nights were uneventful, but every so often, I'd find Miss Adelaide awake, staring at the ceiling, humming some slow, eerie tune. One night, around 2:30,
Oh, hell
she
no!
was sitting up, eyes wide open. When I asked
Not
if she
that
needed
music.
anything, she said, without blinking, "You already asked me that. You ask every night, but tonight is different." I felt this strange feeling in my gut, like she was reading a script for my future. I laughed nervously and offered her water. She declined and added, "You should remember this part." I told my supervisor, who brushed it off as confusion or dream state talk. But the next night, I got the same response from her, word for word. On the third night, she was gone, passed in her sleep around 1:50 a.m. When I went to her room for rounds, the bed was freshly made, her belongings were already boxed. I couldn't stop thinking about what she said. I did some digging through old records and archived notes. Turns out, another night staff member had reported similar things in her file from years ago, always at night around 2 a.m. She repeated phrases and predicted exact actions, and even once said the name of a new nurse before they introduced themselves. One entry from 2013 had her saying, "I remember this version. You take your break at 3:07. You always do." And according to the note, the nurse had just looked at their watch. It was 3:07. I don't know what was happening with Miss Adelaide. I don't really believe in the paranormal, but it seemed to me that she was in some kind of loop or glitch. I can't really
Okay,
explain
so
it. It seems to
they
me
have a patient in this loop, not some rando. Okay.
that maybe she was stuck, watching her life
Not
play out
you.
again and again, waiting for it to end differently. Now I work behind a desk, but I still get the occasional wave of deja vu. When I do, I stop and listen, because maybe it's not just a trick of the brain. Maybe it's a message. Maybe it's Miss Adelaide or someone like her, reaching out across timelines, trying to remind us we've been here before, and it didn't end well. I've since met people who worked at that same care home, both years apart, and without me saying anything, they mentioned that they used to have weird dreams at night while working there. One even said a patient warned her she'd be fired soon, and then she was let go a week later due to downsizing. She didn't remember the patient's name. I just nodded and said how interesting that was. I think about Miss Adelaide often. Sometimes when I'm falling asleep,
Miss Adelaide!
eerie humming from my dreams.
Oh, I
I can't
hate
help but
that.
still think
I
about Miss
hate that.
Adelaide
It's like
all the time.
whistling. I hate whistling. I hate whistling. Hate it. Hate it to death. Yeah. They were absolutely terrifying. The last one was less scary. I didn't like that she did that humming. I would have gave that a 10 out of 10 for that humming. But overall, that story wasn't really that scary. I would have gone a 4 out of 10. It really wasn't that scary. Um, yeah. Anyway, the third story was the scariest. Probably like a 7.5, 8. That was pretty scary. Yeah. Yee. That was Mr. Nightmare. Yee! That was my reaction to Mr. Nightmare. That one was called Four Disturbing Real Cases of Deja Vu. Damn, I had the chills. I had chills down my spine. That one. That one was scary. I don't know if it was as scary as some of the other Mr. Nightmare videos. It was very different. I like that it was very different. Like, he usually does the same videos a lot, but I like that he's experimenting and, he's doing something different with his content. I mean, it's similar. It's pretty much the same, but it's similar. Yeah. I love the smell. I smell this all the time. ADHD moment. But yeah, that was my reaction. Yeah. That last one wasn't really that scary. Um, That just seemed like a random video. I think I watched one video of Miss Nomu where there was a rocking chair in it. I was like, is this grandma? She's just watching over you to see if you're okay. It didn't scare me at all. But yeah. Anyway, that was my reaction. Yeah. Anyway, please subscribe, turn notifications, and click the bell beside you. I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. Bye.